Hello everyone, this is Jiraffe. Today we are going to talk about Puma Punku. Puma Punku means the door of Puma. This is an ancient archaeological site located on the border between Bolivia and Peru in South America. The site sits at an altitude of over 3,700 meters in the Andes. At altitudes over 3,000 meters, there's a plant called Jiraffe that has been living for over 3,000 years. It looks like a moss and grows there. Its ancient site is one of the largest stone ruins on Earth. How old is it? This is a point of debate in archaeology. Archaeologists believe this place should be around 2,000 years ago. Why do they think that? It is not based on scientific dating. If radioactive dating methods are used now, the stones themselves are tens of millions of years old. But this area was originally under the administration of the Inca Empire. The Inca Empire existed around that time, so it's speculated the site dates from that period. However, local people clearly disagree. According to local legend, this place was built 17,000 years ago. That 17,000 years ago is 15,000 BC. 15,000 BC. The Sphinx could have been built around 15,000 BC. Also, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which dates back 12,000 years. These megalithic civilizations were all roughly appeared during that period. The pyramids are also speculated to possibly have been built around that time, because around 15,000 BC, the alignment of Orion's belt matched the positions of the three pyramids, leading to that speculation. These large stones are perfectly square and rectangular. To modern eyes, they look just like they were made of concrete, right? But these are not concrete. They were made of andesite. Andesite is an extremely hard rock. It's a type of rapidly volcanic rock. Slowly solidified volcanic rock is granite. Both are exceptionally hard. The hardness of andesite is about 6 to 8. The andesite here is the hardest, at level 8. Diamond is level 10. Currently, the only known material that can work this is diamond. Alright, now that we know the materials, let's look back at the stones. There are also many H-shaped stones here, just like the Hermes logo. Although there are many blocks in the pyramids, the largest one is 60 tons. Here, there are several blocks over 100 tons, and each block is not concrete, not cast, not welded together. Each one is carved from a single piece of rock. Where did the stones come from? That's another question. Investigations show these stones all came from a place over 100 kilometers away, very similar to the pyramids. It's unclear why ancient people, especially these megalithic civilizations, liked to do this. Not quarrying stone locally, but transporting it from 100, even several hundred kilometers away. This site is the same, but the incredible thing is this. For the pyramids, current theories on how they were built, after various studies, suggest the most likely method was using buoyancy, floating them on the Nile River. But here, at 3,700 plus meters altitude, you can't float them. There's no river, so the pyramids probably weren't built using buoyancy either. It is just that with our current understanding, using river water to float them seems plausible. So if water power couldn't be used here, then how? It's guessed that perhaps the most primitive method, rolling logs, was used. Placing round logs on the ground, lifting the stones onto them, dragging them forward bit by bit, then moving the logs to the front again. But this also doesn't hold up. Why? Because it's at 3,700 plus meters, for hundreds of kilometers around this area. There isn't a single tree. Very desolate. The place grows Jiraffe, the moss-like plant, but no trees. You'd have to go hundreds of kilometers away to fell trees, bring those logs back, and roll them here one by one. That's impossible. And for 100-ton stones, even heavy cars wouldn't help. Our modern heavy-duty cargo trucks, 10-ton, 20-ton trucks, are considered large. This is 100 tons. Using our current vehicles, it's impossible to haul it 100 kilometers. So how these people transported these stones over 100 plus kilometers is a mystery. That's the first mystery. Now for the second mystery. Look at those stones. They are cut perfectly square. Precise measurements show the angles between faces are a standard 90 degrees. As we just said, this stone is extremely hard. Shaping it like this is incredibly difficult. It feels very much like something cast or molded, like something made of poured concrete, right? But no, these are individual massive rocks cut into this shape. Currently, there are two methods to work this stone. One is using lasers. The second is using diamond-tipped blades, a disc embedded with diamonds, spinning, grinding it down slowly over hours or days to cut it. Moreover, even if you use diamond tools to cut it, you need enormous force to press down and cut through. Where would that force come from? Today we use hydraulics. They didn't have that back then. Moreover, the things we cut nowadays are small. Small stones are similar, but each surface of these blocks is dozens of square meters, with set length of 8 or 6 meters, around 50 square meters, just slashed straight through. How enormous would a machine need to be to cut like that? Now comes the even more unbelievable part. There are holes in these stones. They drilled round holes into this andesite. From a modern perspective, this is extremely difficult. You'd need a very thick diamond drill bit to bore through. Polishing the inside would be impossible. How were these holes drilled? The more you look at it, the more it resembles prefabricated concrete components, right? What were these used for? That's just it. We don't know. We will analyze their possible purpose later. Besides the holes, there are also small holes. They are even harder to take. For small holes, you'd need a small diamond drill bit and immense pressure to penetrate. And what tools do we speculate they used back then? The Inca civilization of that era was in the Stone Age. They simply couldn't have had such fine, hard tools. Besides, the main material for crafting small objects back then was chicken bones. There are also many grooves carved on the stones. These grooves are all the same depth, and carving them would also be exceptionally difficult. Judging by how the stones are scattered, they likely originally formed a cohesive structure. Moreover, these stones have holes and grooves carved into them, as if they were meant to be fitted together, just like Lego, exactly from a high altitude or a distance. It looks like a pile of scattered Lego blocks, alien building blocks. That's the feeling. Archaeologists have studied this set for a long time, yet to this day, they don't know how it was built or what it was used for. However, the locals say, oh, we know. It was built 17,000 years ago by a group of beings who came from the sky, a group of giants. And they strongly emphasize, these giants didn't move the stones themselves. They had superpowers. They could make the stones fly and assemble themselves. What was this structure built for? According to the legends, it's said this structure was built to create humans. It may remind you of the Maya platform. The Mayas also have a platform for creating humans, the one that resembles a pyramid. Tiwanaku. That's also said to be built by giants. This one too. A group of giants came. These beings had telekinetic abilities, able to make stones fly and assemble themselves. It was completed overnight, and this structure could create humans. After all, the stone is extremely hard. Considering the possibilities of that time, only diamond tools could have worked it, but they likely didn't have diamond. And even if they did, they lacked the immense force. Having diamonds is useless. You need to mount them on a power saw, a drill, or a hydraulic press for them to be effective. You may think Probably they used lasers, right? We will dismiss that idea shortly. Later, to determine exactly how these stones were cut, archaeologists took a sample from the site to a lab. They used modern tools to cut it, first with a laser, then with diamond-tipped blades. This surface here was cut with a diamond blade, the one on the right with a laser, and the front surface is original. The comparison showed the original surface is different from both the laser cut and diamond cut surfaces. The laser melts the material with high heat, leaving slight curved lines. The diamond cut surface is somewhat similar, but it has scratches. Because the diamond blade cuts bit by bit, it creates these arcing stretch marks. The original surface has no such stretches at all. So it seems they used a completely different processing method from this tube. But what exactly it was remains unknown. Furthermore, diamond blades can only cut a limited surface area. They couldn't handle such large faces. Later, archaeologists discovered another ruin about 800 meters from the Puma Punku site, called Tiwanaku. This was indeed a city where people lived. This Tiwanaku city belonged to a pre-Inca civilization, about which very little is known. Based on the city's area, it's estimated to have housed around 40,000 people. However, the people in this city vanished overnight, as if they had disappeared, and the city was abandoned. Where they went was unknown. Later, when the Inca Empire rose, they occupied this area. This city is only 800 meters from Puma Punku, very close. Studying this city, after excavating it entirely, they found the stone cutting methods here were completely different from Puma Punku. The stones in this city are smaller and cut very crudely, clearly showing signs of manual labor. Puma Punku shows none of that. In the center of the city, there is an altar. When the walls of this altar were excavated, they were found to be embedded with many stone heads. The walls have many protruding stones, but upon closer look, each is a human face, and every face is different. According to legends passed down from the Inca Empire, this wall is called the Wall of the Gods. The faces on it are said to be those of gods, but now archaeologists believe these are not gods' faces, but faces of people from all over the world. For example, there are black faces, white faces, with all sorts of features. The most mysterious part is there is one particular face. This face is different from all others. It is white, but it clearly looks like an alien face, a gray alien face. Doesn't that fit the description of the Wall of the Gods then? This altar has walls on all four sides, with a pillar standing in the center. This pillar is actually a statue. There's a bear on the upper part and a large bear on the lower part, which is incredible, because throughout South America, the indigenous people living there, the Native Americans, don't have beards. That's a characteristic of Native Americans. This stone statue with a beard on the upper part and a large beard on the lower part looks exactly like a Russian. According to legend, this is their creator god. No matter which civilization, the gods they worship look like the local people. Jesus looked like a Westerners. Buddha looks similar to Indians. The Jade Emperor looks like Chinese people. But the god of Native Americans doesn't look like them. This is the being who, according to their legends, descended from the sky. According to the legend, after arriving, he built that Puma Punku. Later, after they departed, the people they had gathered or created built the Tiwanaku city nearby. They worshipped Puma Punku as a divine relic, hoping their gods would return one day. But in the end, the gods never came, so they eventually abandoned and left the place. because that area was simply not suitable for survival. Later, an artifact unearthed at this site shocked the entire archaeological world. Not far from Puma Punku, a basin was excavated. This basin can now be seen in the Gold Museum of Bolivia. They call it a plate, a very large one. The most incredible part is, on this section, many textual symbols are imprinted. Don't these symbols look familiar? They are identical to the cuneiform script of the Sumerian civilization. This cuneiform script appeared immediately with the rise of Sumerian civilization. This origin is unknown. It absolutely shouldn't be something that emerged in South America, yet it appears on this basin. Combined with the fact that their god had a large beard, many archaeologists immediately speculated that the beings they referred to were the Anunnaki, who brought the same script. The Anunnaki are depicted with large beards, tall and gigantic. So, if you think the Anunnaki were just made up by the Sumerians, why do similar things appear in South America as well? Not just South America. There are also accounts of the Anunnaki in North America. The Hopi tribe in North America, in their language, they call ants Anu, and friend Naki. In their legends, there is a god called Friend of the Ants, Anunnaki. They say these beings lived underground. Since we don't know how the structure was built, we should at least speculate about its purpose. So they took precise measurements of all the stones from this set and created a scaled-down model. This way, you could pick up the pieces and try assembling them to say what it might have been for. They found that these stones could fit together perfectly. It's very much like the joinery in carpentry, tenons and mortises, eventually forming a complete pillar. Some say this might have been a lintel for a gate, with a massive door here. These H-shaped stones were likely used to anchor the hinges of this door. Each block weighs 100 tons. How enormous must that door have been? Another speculation, because they can be assembled into a large strip, is that it resembles something like a track, perhaps for something to turn on. Later, something else was unearthed in South America. Very intricate. It looks like a bird, but also like an airplane. They made a full-scale replica, and it could fly, if you equip it with an engine. As long as it has propulsion, it can fly. This means it fully conforms to aerodynamics. Given they had something resembling an airplane, they speculated whether this was a track for launching such aircraft. But these are just wild guesses. What its true purpose was remain completely unknown. We only know the pieces could fit together with incredible precision. In any case, this seems to be parts of a colossal structure, now scattered on the ground. How to reassemble them is unknown, and these are only some of the parts. The complete structure has never been seen. So, what this thing actually was can only be left to the next generation's imagination. We can all imagine. Now back to the question. It was originally a whole structure. Why is it scattered all over the place? What could have caused such a massive thing to break apart into pieces lying around like parts? Later archaeologists dug around to see if they could find other pieces. To their surprise, they discovered countless fragments in the surrounding area, clearly remnants of H-shaped stones that had been blasted to pieces, with debris scattered everywhere. This indicates one thing. This structure was deliberately blown up. What we see now are the intact pieces that weren't destroyed. The rest were blown into powder and scattered. The question arises, who blew it up? Asteroid. Since there was no gunpowder back then, the first thought was whether it was hit by a meteor or asteroid. But what was the odds that an asteroid or meteor would strike this exact structure? Besides, there's no evidence of an asteroid impact at the site. Did they destroy it themselves? It's also possible that the original builders, to prevent the structure from remaining, deliberately destroyed it. In any case, it certainly wasn't the Tiwanaku people who blew it up. So, synthesizing all the information above, a relatively plausible hypothesis has been formed a long time ago. The Anunnaki from Nibiru arrived at this place, intending to mine gold. After landing, the first thing they did was build this machine, which could create humans. How exactly did it create humans? Based on our speculation, there might have been ape-men or human-like creatures on Earth at the time. They entered this machine, underwent genetic modification, and emerged as functional humans capable of work. Since humans couldn't communicate telepathically, the Anunnaki specifically taught them language. This way, humans could understand the Anunnaki and work for them. Since humans were created by the Anunnaki, they worshipped them as gods. Later, after the Anunnaki finished mining gold, they left. But to erase evidence of their existence, they destroyed this machine. The native humans on Earth continued waiting for their gods to return, worshipping here every day. Then why did the Anunnaki leave some gold behind for us? This leads to another possibility. That is, the structure wasn't necessarily destroyed by the Anunnaki themselves. It's also possible that while the Anunnaki were mining gold here, someone else took issue with it and attacked them, destroying the structure in the process. In other words, it could have been a war among aliens, God clashing, piercing the sky, causing great floods, and so on. These are all possibilities. Back then, Earth was a scene of fierce battles, with atomic bombs and missiles being hurled at each other. With so many different gods, they were at war here, and the Anunnaki was the most powerful among them, at the center of it all. Later, the Anunnaki left. If this hypothesis is incorporated, first, the locals strongly agree. They feel it makes a lot of sense. Secondly, it can explain all the contradictions and resolve everything, right? The idea that it was built in a single day is resolved. The perfectly smooth surfaces and precise cuts, too easy. They just willed it into existence. Of course, if we consider that this matter has nothing to do with aliens and only involves Earth civilizations, then it would mean that a highly advanced civilization once existed on Earth in ancient times. This super ancient civilization had mastered stoneworking to an incredible degree, whether it's in Egypt, Turkey, or here in South America. It feels as if they could manipulate stones however they wished, stack them as high as they wanted, carve them into any shape. In fact, from the perspective of stone processing, this side is much more challenging than the pyramids. The pyramid stones aren't as large, and the craftsmanship isn't as refined. Moreover, the pyramids were assembled with a cement-like substance filling the gaps, whereas here they relied on interlocking joints without any adhesive holding them together. Now, there's another remarkable thing in South America. Not far from Puma Punku, the famous 12-angle stone. This stone is embedded in a wall with a total of 12 angles. Each face is exquisitely crafted, fitting perfectly with the surrounding stones, so tight that not even a hair could slip through. How it was processed remains a complete mystery. When asked, Peruvians say they didn't build it. It was left behind by the Inca Empire from earlier times. Peru is a place with frequent earthquakes. No matter how much the ground shakes, buildings collapse, but this stone wall never falls. It has stood unshaken for thousands of years, precisely because these stones fit together so perfectly that no one can replicate it. Now just imagine a civilization that supposedly used chicken bones managed to carve this. Moreover, if you argue that they just took their time, patiently grinding the stone with other rocks to create these 12 angles, and that fitting this one stone with the surrounding ones could have taken over a decade, but building a wall where a single stone took that long is simply not feasible. Therefore, when they originally built this wall, it must have been done quickly, without much consideration. For them, working with stone was just that easy, maximizing the use of each block. Isn't it terrifying to think this was done by a civilization that used chicken bones? The chickens must have been different back then. What do you think? Leave your thoughts to the comments. See you next time!